a playlist original.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster. My name is Gaius Bowling, and what's up, guys? All three of us back together again.
What's up, gentlemen?
The gang is here, and fellas, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm excited for this episode. And
Yeah.
you know why. Everyone should know why. If you're in the entertainment biz, you should know why Jack Gonzalez is fired up right now. But we will wait and get past the fun topics first, as Gaius will explain in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so last week, I know we said we were going to do the Dark Knight Rises anniversary, and that is still going to happen, but there were just so many newsworthy things that happened in the last few days, and a lot of it today, that it felt not good to shortchange some of it, and certain people on the podcast have a lot of hot takes about certain topics, so we're just gonna with certain people we're just gonna focus on the news stuff because there's some pretty interesting stuff out there right now. Yeah, I mean, it all like I said, a lot of it happened today, and I love this one is the fun one though. I don't know, it's up to you. Let's
go through the smaller ones first, and then we can go to the big one. Let's just quick with the other ones. Ugh.
Okay, so you want to okay, well, we can start with this since we talked Thor last week, and when we had Sam on with us, and we all kind of felt the same way about Thor: Love and Thunder, that it wasn't the best. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't the best the MCU had to offer. And
too much shtick.
And even though it had a pretty good
give your 2 minute spiel on Thor, because we never got yours.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. I mean, after reading the article about Christian Bale kind of doing it for his kids rather than really kind of diving into this role. I mean, when your daughter asks you to play a Marvel superhero, you're not going to look into your daughter's puppy eyes and say no. So obviously you're going to want to play a character. And honestly, I think that he just dove in and gave a good Christian Bale performance. I think that he kind of it felt a little weird with, I thought he did a good interaction with everyone else, but it just seemed like he was in a different movie than everyone else. I did really like the visuals. I thought there were some great action scenes, but at the end of the day, Gaius, you said it best when we were talking. They took all of the things that the masses online said they loved about Thor Ragnarok, and then tried to shove as much of it as they could into this new one. And I think that it got a little overplayed. And I think I said this about the Multiverse of Madness, is that when I immediately go into a first Marvel movie, I kind of roll my eyes at the classic Marvel jokes the first time, but then as the second time kind of comes around, I kind of start to appreciate them. This is one that I know that if I watch it again, I'm going to continue to roll my eyes at some of these lines. And yeah, but at the end of the day, I think that it was successful, but I do want to kind of point out too that Jack saying that it was going to beat Doctor Strange, I think that was a bold statement.
I mean, I really thought it was going to ride.
At the time, I think it made sense. Yeah, I think we thought we were getting Ragnarok 2.0, and that's just not overboard Ragnarok, and that's kind of what we got.
Yeah.
It's just like I said, if you made Love and Thunder before Ragnarok would have made $1 billion. I mean, I think it did it made a lot of money anyways, but I'm just saying they fucked up. And you're right, Owen. They just doubled down on the jokes. But the reason it was so successful, according to one movie studio, was fucking Sony.
Yeah.
And Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah, that was
that was a Sony said it was Sony wants to take credit for Top Gun Maverick being successful, and every movie that's successful. But it's a good blanket statement because they're basically saying that we ushered in this return to movie theaters, and on the one hand, I'm not going to take away that opening for Venom Let There Be Carnage, because a $90 million opening back in October of last year was a good opening, but then they failed to realize that before they opened, it was A Quiet Place Part 2, there was Black Widow, there was Fast 9, there was Shang-Chi, there was Free Guy. They all opened well and all did really well before Venom came out. So no, we are not going to like say that Venom and Sony paved the way for the rest of these movies to be successful. Like the guy sounded like he was like
Absolutely not.
just he sounded like he was just jealous, and he was like, "Well, everyone's talking about Top Maverick or Top Gun in the press, like, oh, like it brought back cinema, but you know, like we kind of were in the trenches first, like we jumped in when no one else did, but
We made
other
90
movie,
million.
yeah, but other movies did. So it's like you're forgetting like weeks, September, August, July, and June. Even though it wasn't like a full movie slate, those movies still came out and did solid business in a very uncertain time. And to a lesser extent, like Godzilla versus Kong was one of the first ones to really go out there and do it. And that was when there was like most theaters weren't even fully open yet. They weren't at full capacity. So no, I'm not going to give that credit to Venom. Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah, sorry, peeps, for jumping the gun on the topic, but I just really
no, but it does make sense.
I wanted to say Sony, like I try, like I don't know why I'm the one who defends everything on this podcast of the trio. Like I can't just like let somebody be dumb. Like I need to like at least like, the benefit of the doubt. But at this point in time, like I'm like Sony, fuck, dude, like that was a dumb statement, man. Like,
and two people said it. It was two people. Two people.
I would argue that Shang-Chi like brought back cinema. I mean, there's like four of the movies there that I could easily be like, yeah, that was the first movie of the summer that actually we could go back to. We were excited to. We made plans to do. It's like, again, also, no one made plans to go see Let There Be Carnage. It just, like, it made 90 million, awesome, but like, I don't think anyone was excited to see it. I mean, I was just because I'm a sheep, but
it's one of those things where it's like, I just wish that Sony would just kind of shut up and make their money that they've done. And it's just kind of come to the point where, like, why do they have to have the last word no matter what?
Yeah,
like I don't really understand that. No, they just have to have this last comment that's like, well, we're still making good movies, I promise. And like, there's the whole like fake fandom of Morbius that like has kind of exploded, and it's literally a joke between like the younger generation saying that they actually wanted to go see Morbius, and they took it seriously, saying that they're like excited for Morbius too,
and re-released it. Yeah, and re-released it. Like, you know what? I think the fans want it. They want it. No, they don't.
I really just imagine the Sony boardroom, like that top floor. Not men in business suits, but it's men wearing the like pinwheel hat.
Yeah,
they're all just like riding tricycles around and like hanging out and like just fucking like midget bowling and shit, and like literally anything but doing smart decisions about movies or PR besides keeping Spider-Man as an IP. They've done like, I can't think of anything that they've really done.
Like everyone in that office, like you can't even make a joke.
It's like
because they're gonna take it seriously.
It pretty much is
consistently throughout the day.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna give them not even credit if there was just this one dude that said it. All right, one of their bosses was dumb, but then they had a duo interview, like where they were like, "Oh yeah, both of us are gonna double down and say this." Like, you know, like one guy says like, "Oh, the marketplace was just so empty when we released Venom." Like, no, it wasn't. There were movies out, and there were big movies out, and then like it just seems like people are just jealous of Top Gun, and they just want to like, oh, why is that getting all the credit for it? Like, you know what? It's getting all the credit because it's
Mickey
him too. Yeah, I was like, it's not like, you know what? It's getting a lot of credit because it's not a comic book movie, it's not a Marvel movie. It's getting a lot of credit because it's made over $1 billion, and it's just like an old school action movie with Tom Cruise. That's why it's getting a lot of credit for being as successful as it is, and it's actually good compared to like Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So there's also that.
At the end of the day, I'm going to say that if like Top Gun was the pandemic movie, it's hard to say that we're in the pandemic still. Knock on wood, you know, everyone's safe and healthy. But like that was the like first movie. Like I gotta see it. But yeah, no, like I have to see this. So
right,
they're stupid.
I think there is a little bit of jealousy from every other actor out there that they just thought that only Marvel movies can make that kind of money. And then as soon as another one does, they're like, oh, it was because of this. And this is why. And he only does it. This is his only character that he plays. That's why it's so popular. Or
that's my
argument
to why he's so popular too, is because he's finally like picked and chose his character that he knows he can rock. Ethan Hunt and Pete Maverick. So yeah. He was riding nostalgia. Like this movie was gonna make money regardless of the fact it had the young people and it had the old people with nostalgia. it was actually a good movie too. So there's 3 things I was going for it. So like, just shut up, Sony. Take your medicine. Hang on to Spider-Man. And delay all of your Spider-Man movies like they did Madam. We're just going to toss that in there. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. We're just going to say they delayed Madam Web 3 months of film. Okay.
3 months.
I already think that's going to be a flop.
Okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Poor Dakota Johnson. Yeah, I and they could have actually said something about their slate without dissing other movies. They could have been like, yo, we had Venom, and then we had Ghostbusters, and then we had Spider-Man, and then we had Uncharted, like all that back to back, and it made a lot of money. They could have positively talked about their releases without being like, well, we were the first to kind of like test the waters, when you weren't. Like, go home, you're drunk. You weren't the first to test the waters, like, at all. So it just makes them look stupid, and like, it's okay. Like, you guys have successes and it's cool, other than Morbius. And they could have just taken that and just ran with it. I mean, they did have Spider-Man No Way Home was one of the biggest hits ever. And they could have just like easily like kind of bragged on that a little bit without dissing other movies. And that's what it felt like. It felt like it was just jealous shade on their part, when it's so easy to make fun of them. I don't even know why they even try, when it's so easy to make fun of them for just existing, pretty much.
Yeah, no, it's just a bad look, and I really wish them well with their next endeavors.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I'm not going to give them I'm not going to give them a pity ticket.
Nope. I'm glad, because you used to.
I used to. I am off the wagon. I'm off the Sony wagon in terms of defending them.
I do want to bring up the second weekend drop really quick for Thor: Love and Thunder, because it dropped 68%. Which is on the high end of second weekends for the MCU. Now, some people said that, Black Widow did that, but Black Widow was also on Disney Plus, so that explains that drop. And then Spider-Man No Way Home actually did in the second weekend, but it was out during the holiday break. So every weekday played like a Friday and Saturday. So it wasn't like a typical weekend to weekend, and Christmas fell on the Saturday in the second weekend. So it was going to see a big drop. This is just a big drop because like it feels like the reaction to it is just mixed. And like the main complaint is that it's too silly. And Taika Waititi seemed to like respond to that. He shared an image that someone shared on Twitter. And I guess it's from a Deadpool comic where Luke Cage is actually in a dance off with Thor. And then someone said, like, you guys act like Thor can only be one thing. Like, it can only be kind of serious and not funny. And then he retweeted that and said, yes, like, that's the point he's trying to make. But like, I stand by the fact that I think he went too far with the jokes, and I think the box office returns kind of indicate that a lot of people felt that this went a little too far on the humor side of things.
Yeah, no, it didn't. It just, I'm not surprised. It didn't work. It's definitely like a streaming movie. Wait till it gets Disney Plus, and kind of just go from there. I mean,
yeah, it's one of those ones that's weird because it's like Taika's kind of first one that people haven't basically bowed down and given him the crown kind of movie. I mean, he's had such success in the past with everything else that he's done. So I feel like this is kind of the first one where people are like, all right, I'm kind of getting tired of this style. And see kind of where he might go with the Star Wars, because whether it's going to be in there. I mean, his character was also in Lightyear, and maybe that had some contributing factor too, but I don't know. We'll kind of move forward where he goes from here, and if people are willing to stick around for that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we said it last week. At the end of the episode, I was like, I don't want to see him come back and do another one. I want them to get someone else to direct another one if they make another Thor movie. Like, I think he kind of
Kenneth Branagh again.
I mean, I guess maybe go back to being serious. And I feel, like I said to Jack, I feel stupid saying that, because I was like, no, Ragnarok was perfect. I needed more humor. But I guess, there is too much of a good thing sometimes. And this was
I don't want to say I don't want to say I was right, but I was kind of right. Like, you need a little bit of a more serious Thor to keep the character a little bit more grounded. That's why I liked a little more. I like the Avengers Thor rather than whatever Thor we've really gotten. So,
right,
yeah.
And then the Mickey Rourke thing. I mean, I don't. So him and Tom Cruise came up around the same time in the 80s, and they just went their different directions. Like Mickey Rourke was like a bad boy, and he was considered a good actor, but he wasn't like a mainstream like box office actor. And then he had a reputation for being kind of an asshole on set, and then he got in trouble a lot, and then his face got messed up a lot, and then he had a lot of surgeries to fix his face, and he doesn't even look like the same guy. I don't even know if did you actually see the Piers Morgan interview, because his face looks like completely destroyed. He doesn't even look human anymore. But like,
yeah, he's got a lot of work done.
Yeah, the things that he said about Tom Cruise, and I know we kind of touched on this a little bit before, but he was honestly asking him like, what do you think about the success of Top Gun? And he said like, that doesn't really matter to me. He's played the same effing part for 35 years. The guy's been doing the same thing. I got no respect for that. I don't care about money and power. I care about when I watch Al Pacino work and Chris Walken and De Niro's early work, which kind of sounds like shade to De Niro too. Richard Harris's work, Ray Winstone's works, Monty Cliff, Brando back in the day, and a lot of guys that just tried to stretch as actors. I think Cruise is irrelevant in my world.
Yeah, I think that's a really strong statement, especially since, I mean, Al Pacino's played a lot of the same roles too, and he's kind of had those like he's found his niche and was like, I'm going to roll with that too. And I mean, isn't that like kind of the dream of every actor, is to find something that you're good at? And I mean, you obviously don't want to be typecast forever as like a certain character, but I mean, De Niro's kind of been cast in, he's done other sort of indie projects that are a little bit
comedies and stuff.
Yeah, comedies and stuff like that. But I mean, he was the New York gangster for a long, long time, and he leaned into it. And I don't know, it's one of those things where I just think that Mickey Rourke is probably just looking for some work.
Yeah, he's just doing like straight to video stuff now, which is crazy because he had a chance at a comeback. He actually did have one. I mean, it started with Sin City, and then it was The Wrestler, and he got nominated for an Oscar for that. And then that kind of put him back in the mainstream movies. And then he did Iron Man 2, and he kind of talked a lot of shit about that movie because it wasn't what he thought it was going to be, and the part wasn't what he thought it was going to be. So he kind of started that reputation up again of like just talking smack, and as quickly as he came back, he just quickly fell off again. And it just seems like another person who's just jealous. Like, that's the only way I can like explain it, I guess. Like, why are you, if anything, you should be happy that Tom Cruise made a movie that was successful at the box office, because it's good for movies. It's good for cinema.
It's good for everything. Yeah, it just proves the model that if you can make a good movie now, not 2 years ago now, and you literally they delayed it to let it go in theaters, and it worked. So boom.
Yep. Like,
I'm rereading the
no, it's okay. Right? It's like it's just ridiculous, and like I'm sure this goes in one ear and out the other for Tom Cruise. Is like, whatever. You're irrelevant in my really yeah, he's probably like, you're irrelevant. Like, whatever. Dude, like, when's the last time you've been relevant? But Tom Cruise is also a classy guy and wouldn't say anything like that, and wouldn't come back with any kind of like statement. So like, it is what it is. I just think it's ridiculous that like, I think in this industry now, they all need to support each other and the movies that they're making, because everyone wants all types of cinema to come back in a big way. And if anyone's pioneering that, it's Tom Cruise. So he deserves a lion's share of that credit.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes even just the biggest clapback is just not responding whatsoever.
Fucking silence.
Yeah, silence. Yeah. And if someone brings it up, be like, hey, what do you think about Mickey Rourke's comment? Just be like, oh, I didn't hear about it. Next question.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how he's handling it. I think Tom Cruise is so big that he's just like, oh yeah. I mean, I thought I heard a murmur, but then I forgot about it. and that's all it is to him, which is perfect. As far as are we to the angry Jack stuff yet?
I mean, if you guys want to get rolling, we can absolutely get rolling.
You know what? I do want to bring this up because
you want to talk about, yeah.
I want to bring this one thing up
before. There's one thing too I want to bring up too before.
Okay, I only want to bring it up because I know you love the movie Warrior. Gavin O'Connor is turning it into a TV series.
No shit, really?
Which well, I don't know if you're gonna be excited when you hear about it. So far, what he pitched to Lionsgate TV is a 10-episode ongoing series that Paramount Plus is behind completely in developing it. He's also in talks with two-time UFC champion Daniel. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Cormier,
Cormier?
Cor, yeah, Cormier, yeah,
Cormier.
and Gina Rodriguez to play the two of the four main combatants that will shape the MMA drama. They're looking for two more.
I saw that.
Yeah, they're looking for
I'd
two
not
more
seen it.
people. Yeah, it was like an under the radar kind of story, but I thought it was like pretty good because like this movie is, even though it flopped when it came out, has become like a big like cult hit.
It's a fantastic movie, and
It was your sleeper, Jack.
It was.
Yeah,
It's my sleeper movie. It's so fucking good. So
a lot. I
will say, before you get too far into your explanation of the thing to ruin me, the reason it was so good is because that the director and the writer of Warrior specifically wrote it with Nick Nolte in mind for the dad, because he was his neighbor, and like they had to convince him to do it. And then obviously Tom Hardy, and then Owen's nemesis,
Joel Edgerton.
He will not be named.
That son of a bitch.
We're fantastic in the role, but the idea of it, I'm down for. If Gavin O'Connor's doing it, like I'm down because he knows action, he knows MMA. Those fight scenes were epic. So
yeah, and now it might make you feel better that he wrote. No, I don't want. It might not deflate you because he wrote these two parts specifically for Gina Rodriguez and UFC fighter. He's looking for another actor, and another person that is heavy in the MMA to play the other two roles, and there might be like supporting roles that are kind of like shaped around them. The only complaint I've
Conor
seen.
McGregor.
Oh God,
that'd be wild.
Oh Jesus! The only complaint I've seen is that there was a show called Kingdom that dealt with MMA. It was a drama on TV. I think it ran for like 4 seasons, and a lot of people were saying like in TV form, the way this is described, it sounds very similar to that. So I guess that's the only complaint that there is. But like, I do like that they have the whole creative team behind. Like Gavin O'Connor is the one that developed all 10 episodes. He's directing all 10 episodes, and so I think that and that's why Paramount Plus is really behind developing it and getting it going.
That was gonna be my point. I actually give Paramount Plus a little bit of credit for their streaming, like their choices in their shows. I'm behind it. Yellowstone's fantastic.
And at first I was like, oh yeah, go ahead.
I like that jail show with Jeremy Renner. I forgot, like Mayor of Kingstown.
Oh, the East Sound, yeah.
I enjoyed it. Not many people did, but I enjoyed it. I think there's a couple other shows I'm just blanking on, but I enjoyed Paramount Plus. I think they're doing a good job, so I'm definitely down with this for sure.
Yeah. And at first I was like Gina Rodriguez, but then I forgot about Annihilation, and she's a badass in that. So
that's a sleeper movie too for me.
I love that movie. It's so good.
Very interesting movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to throw that one in because I know Jack, that was your sleeper movie, and it probably could make a really good TV show. I mean, if you have the same creative team behind it, then it makes things a lot easier to make successful if the guy who created
and you remember you have Daniel Cormier, who's like a legit like champion. It's gonna be real fighting. Like this shit's gonna be like, it's not like like Tom Hardy's gonna have to be taught how to do this shit. Like Daniel Cormier is gonna be fucking doing it. So it's gonna be awesome. So I'm excited for that. Thank you for letting me know about that.
I think it's cool that like there are some movies that are being kind of turned into TV shows. I really hope that like moving forward they find the right ones to do, because I think it could be a slippery slope, is just sort of, instead of just doing sequels, they just start rehashing movies into TV shows and trying to kind of find a new angle. So like I think that could be a slippery slope, but I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that they've done that with. But
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, they're doing it now. Yeah, they want that to be their Game of Thrones Prime Video. They put a lot of money into it.
This is more like a singular movie, like sort of like a one. You put one out and then you build a show around it. So hopefully, I think that I hope that it's really good, so that we can kind of take some other movies that we want to see more of and turn it into a show. Like honestly, Gay, it's like when we were talking about like No Country for Old Men, if they did like a 10 episode series on that, I would be all in for that to kind of see a little bit more of sort of the backstories, or like a prequel to that. I don't know. I think it would be a cool way to transition into finding more about certain characters. Yeah,
I think so too. And like I think in the early days of like Back to the Blockbuster, that's when they announced like Fatal Attraction being turned into a TV show on Paramount on Paramount Plus, and like that is that's another movie that can actually work as a 10 episode series because you have time to develop like how the affair starts and how it ruins their lives and so on throughout the course of like 10 episodes instead of like one movie. So like sometimes I think it is a good idea to kind of explore the limited series, miniseries route with some of these movies. Especially when there's a lot of time removed from them. I mean, like with Warrior, I think there is enough time removed to kind of jump back into it as a show and see what they can do with it. To see what they can do with it, and it's not so much it's like continuing that story. It's like gonna use the same DNA as the movie to kind of craft its.
Oh my god! Oh yes, they're gonna fucking get Cowboy. What the hell is it? God.
So
hold on. MMA Cowboy. Dude, they're gonna get Donald Cerrone. Legit, he finished his last fight, retired, and in his speech in the ring, he literally goes, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Hollywood and be an actor." Literally, I can't think of a more perfect way to get into acting than to literally do an MMA show.
There you go.
So, that'd be dope. He looks sick. He's sick.
And it won't be a stretch.
Or he just makes Never Back Down 3.
Oh. Well, Amber Heard was in that first one, so maybe she'll come back for. She needs work.
Gosh. Any of you guys pre-order her book?
I don't care about what she has to say. I feel bad. I don't. Oh, you know what? We did on Jobo. We did a what the fuck happened to her. We have a whole series of videos, and we did one on Amber Heard. I realized while watching it when they were talking about her early career that I don't really know much. She didn't do much. She was just like the pretty blonde girl that popped up in like random stuff, and you're like, oh, like her. That's her. Like she wasn't like significant until she got with Johnny Depp.
I mean, she kind of looks like every other blonde girl in like early 2000s movies. So it's like, yeah, she kind of falls to the wayside just appearance alone.
Yeah, definitely. And like for some reason I was like, okay, I'll watch this, and maybe she was successful. She didn't really have like a bunch of huge hits. Like she was in Pineapple Express, but she's not the star. And she mostly has been. God,
that's fucking her. Holy shit,
yeah,
dude.
See, that's how I felt. That's how I felt watching that whole episode. I was like, oh yeah, here she is,
dude. She's completely unrecognizable. She looks like Kristen Stewart in that movie.
Yeah, which is not the kind of career you want to have. Like oh yeah, like that's what you were in. Unfortunately, but kind of segued off, but it was good to talk about her for a second. No, yeah. we did not pre-order her book. Whatever book she plans on writing. You know what though? I would. Well, yeah, she would call it that. Well, she lost her last bid to like get a new trial. She tried to do the whole like, oh, there's a wrong juror on the jury. Give me a new trial. And it didn't work. They were like, yeah, your lawyers had time to look over all the jurors.
How it goes is you pick your jurors.
Exactly. Yeah. So stupid.
Anywho.
Stupid. All right. What was the extra thing that you wanted to?
The extra thing I want to talk about. I know you guys aren't necessarily big sports fans.
I'm a huge sports fan, Jack. I resent that.
I apologize.
I listen like enthusiastically about sports.
Okay, maybe that's not but I apologize for making the assumption. Like, I'm a New York fan and a Cowboy fan, so people hate me. Anywho, speaking of the Yankees, I just want to point out how lucky we are right now that all of our greats, like Derek Jeter, Michael Jordan, all these athletes are coming out with like personalized documentaries right now, because we're never gonna get this again. Like LeBron James, when he does this, we've seen everything. He's literally been on a camera since he was 18 years old. He's probably had he'll probably have another movie made about him. But like Derek Jeter, like this one with the captain specifically is what I'm bringing it up for. Like this is like I watched last night. It was unbelievable. If you're like a serious Yankee fan or even just a baseball fan, like it's unbelievable. And I just feel that I need to say that we are so lucky as like sports fans or documentary fans that you get to see all of this, because they didn't play with cell phones and Twitter and Facebook until like the early 2000s, and when they were on the last legs of their careers and stuff or whatever.
That's a really good point.
And even when it did come on, because Jeter didn't retire till 2015. Don't quote me on that. I'm sorry. But he like played it perfectly. Like, so I just want to point out that everyone should watch that. And then like I really like, I hope that like Paul Pierce does one next, or Jason Kidd, or freaking Ben Roethlisberger. Just someone like awesome.
I don't want to see a Ben Roethlisberger.
Actually, yeah, that was a absolutely
that's such a bad example.
Yeah, do you have to leave out the whole two
alleged assaults?
The two alleged assaults. That wouldn't be
that wouldn't be go through that. But, sorry, I'm forgetting the Tom Brady, Man in the Arena. Like that's another one. So right now, the first three are Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, and now Derek Jeter with 7-part series. I think Tom's was 10, but his was shorter in length per episode. But like those three hitters right there, that's an amazing thing to like have like people to watch and like actually learn about what happened and all that little stuff, because they just had VCRs and cameras. So
did they debut all of them, or they're doing like episode by episode?
They're doing episode by episode.
Okay.
For the captain.
Because I heard they interviewed Alex Rodriguez for it too. They were talking about that on TV. I didn't know that they didn't get along for a little bit. I had no idea that I thought they were buddies. I guess they were. And then they beefed.
They were beefed there because A-Rod was getting the big bucks with Jeter as the Prince
of
New York.
So the only real thing I know about Derek Jeter outside of the fact that he was a baseball player is that he would gift his like conquests with like gift baskets after he would like sleep with them, which is sort of like most polite thing anyone could do, like in that position. Like, thank you for your.
I want you to search Derek Jeter's starting lineup of girls. Literally, SportsCenter did a roster of like.
SportsCenter did this.
SportsCenter. I'm not like ESPN. SportsCenter did this. They literally had like Minky Kelly in right field, Jessica Biel in center field, like all of his like celebrity hookups on the field. And you can't tell me that Derek Jeter was not like the biggest pimp in the world for slaying all these girls back in the day and not having like one scandal, picture, sex tape, anything.
Yeah,
allegedly.
Not even like there's like one bad story apparently, like where one girl walks in and he's just like jerking off to himself, watching himself on the TV, and he's just like, yeah, cheats. But like, cheater. I'm gonna fucking like,
all right, that's already.
Do we have to say allegedly after that? Is that like a real story?
Hey, there's no scandal because he paid him off with a gift basket.
Yeah.
There we go.
Or like the one. Or he forgot one time that a girl came over twice, so when he gave her the gift basket, he was like, she was allegedly upset because she got the same gift basket twice.
Well, I want to shout out Derek Jeter as a former actor. My favorite role of his is in The Other Guys when he gets shot by Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah, gosh. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think that might be his only cameo.
Well,
he probably has a few other
film. Possibly he was in Seinfeld for an episode.
Boom.
Way to bring it back to the theater, Owen. Way to go.
There we go, man. I got to do it.
Yes. With that being said, I'm done with the Derek Jeter. Go Yankees. Let's see that next half of the season. Giancarlo Stanton, MVP of the All-Star game. Suck it. Anywho, now that I'm all jacked up, Jace, do you want to introduce this one so I don't get all frazzled in the beginning? Because like I would like to be reading it and I'm just like, oh my god.
All right, I'll say I'll introduce it as this. So when you guys hear this, it'll be Thursday. So today, Tuesday, the digital release for like the Snyder Cut comes out, and for some reason, there's also this Rolling Stone piece that comes out as well. And it details this like investigation that Warner Brothers put together to kind of look into, like, to kind of just give you the small story. It's whether or not like the fandom behind the Snyder Cut and those involved with the Snyder Cut was essentially really toxic, and they kind of like put stuff out there that was really negative that kind of made that fandom even more toxic to like other people, basically. I'll give like the cliff notes of what they were trying to say. They're really trying to discredit the success of the movie, which is a weird thing to do when it even if you're not really behind it anymore. It's coming from your studio, so it's still something you made. Like, so it's like a really weird thing.
Before you even get into this thing, I just need to say this isn't like you would consider Rolling Stone like a reputable,
which is why we ran it. Which why we ran it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so what the fuck, man? Like, I'm not a journalist. I'm not a publication. I don't write I don't write, but it's just an absolute hit piece. A 100% slap at a director targeted at one person with just some ancillary 21st century information to make it spin bad. That's the first thing I gotta say to this, because Warner Media, which is a new company, would never have allowed this to come out ever. I mean, you can't stop a publication from freedom of speech, but like they would have done everything they can to like stop this. So that's just, I'm so angry with Rolling Stone for this article of how it's written. I understand the notes that you're about to go down of what happened and what's going on. Totally get that, and we're gonna go through of why I think it's bad or good.
I don't agree with all these notes, by the way. Just so you know, I'm just saying,
I don't either, and I agree with some of them too. But like the just the quotes of like the Snyder stuff and all this stuff, like it's all like it's not multiple sources. It's I'm getting too far into it already, but like go at it, guys. Give us the cliff notes.
Well, Owen, did you want to say something? I thought you were trying to say something too.
No. Go ahead and lead it off.
Okay. Well, the main thing that a lot of people, that outlets are leading with, is they're trying to create this kind of like almost, it seems like, fake like fan like rush for this movie. They're trying to indicate that like it was mostly like fake Twitter accounts and bots that were like requesting the Snyder Cut to begin with, and they were saying that like through their investigation they found that like 13% of the accounts that were like asking for it were fake or bots, and they were saying that's higher than the normal like 3 to 5% that they normally find. Even if you were to say like, okay, 13% of them were fake, there's still 87% of like Twitter users, real fans that wanted this. So to try to discredit it by saying like, oh, like a lot of like fake accounts like were asking for this, so maybe the fan outcry for it wasn't as huge, just rings false. And they try to do the same thing with the whole like when it won like the Oscar moment thing for the Oscars that they did on Twitter. They were trying to say that like, a lot of fake accounts like voted for that. That's like the big part of it there, but like the worst part of it is like what they make Zack Snyder look out to they make him look like a asshole.
Before we get to that, let's just talk about the social media aspect of this, because I feel that's really super simple to explain like why or not it's good. I will say, as part of the like very quiet part of the release, the Snyder Cut community on Instagram, it's social media. You get as many impressions as you possibly can. That's the name of the game. Like bots are not bad, like in a sense of like marketing. Every single marketing company, movie studio uses bots to get more hashtags out. That is how you spread your news. That is how you get trending. Doesn't matter. What matters is that people are then interacting with that trending hashtag. So regardless of the fact if a bot put something on a trending hashtag, people are then clicking on that and interacting with it because they want to read it. That is what trending is. Trending is just what is hot now. If a bot made something hot, that's fine. What they're trying to spin is that like these bots were targeting like Walter, like the old DC heads of like, you know, like, and Jeff Johns and John Berg and Walter Hamada and all these guys to be like, get the fuck off Twitter. Give us the Snyder Cut or we're gonna kill you. Yeah, but like that wasn't it. Like it's so frustrating because I knew reading this article how much like right now, like if I'm gonna stand up to show a shirt, I'm wearing a Dark Side shirt, and this is from the release of Snyder Cut, the Americans Prevention for Suicide. You know when that was mentioned, like how much money they raised for them for like those like various charities because of Zack Snyder's daughter. The last paragraph. You know how many paragraphs there were? There were about 20. So to go through this entire thing and be like toxic this, toxic that, I would like to say that no one got hurt, personally threatened, touched, or investigated into any threats to any one of those like executives. So one, like to be, oh, they're mean. It's like you're really, this whole entire article is your basis on that.
Twitter.
Thank you. Yeah. Is Twitter.
Yeah.
It's
they were trying.
the meanest place in the world.
They were trying to say that on social media that Zack Snyder himself said like about these heads like Geoff Johns and Sarnoff that he was going to make them pay on social media. Yes. Now he says that he never said that, and I can't even see him saying that.
It's
like everyone,
one source. It's not multiple.
Yeah, it's one source. It's one source. Right. And like and what they're saying in their official quote about the research they did, they're basically saying after researching online conversations about the Snyder Cut. Specifically, the hashtags release the Snyder Cut and restore the Snyderverse on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We detected an increase in negative activity created by both real and fake authors. One identified community was made up of real and fake authors that spread negative content about Warner Media for not restoring the Snyderverse. Additionally, 3 main leaders were identified within the authors, scanned on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, 1 leader on each platform. These leaders receive the highest amount of engagement and have many followers, which gives them the ability to influence public opinion, which they were trying to indicate that this was dangerous almost. Like, it was like, it got to the point where it like
inciting too far. Riot, basically.
Yeah.
And then I want to also point out one thing. I just watched Reacher again, and the Devil's in the Details Matter in Investigation. That quote you just said says Warner Media.
Yeah, they say that
Warner
now.
Media is the new company. This was done when it was Warner Bros.
Yep.
This had to have been done when it was Warner Bros. Like, again, I'll read a quote from the article too. Damn it, I just had it too. Oh, here it is. The onslaught included cyber harassment so severe, Warner Bros. Security Division got involved. Parentheses. A Warner Bros. Discovery spokesperson declined to comment as this matter predates the current leadership and new company. Yeah. So, with that being read, this is a hit piece for all the old people who got shafted, saying like that Zack Snyder's first version of Justice League was crap. They said it was joyless. Like, they made him do so many things to like make it like an Avengers movie that essentially just got Joss Whedon, and it made it even shittier. And then they go into the fact that like, oh, they spent $300 million and it made 657. But then they go back and blame the fact that Batman vs Superman only just made under $1 billion. Like, the complete fatal flop of this movie, dude, it made $900 million. Like, it wasn't the $1 billion movie we wanted, but it did make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
So I will say that like even though that like the Snyder fans were really pushing for this, I mean, I didn't really even know. I mean, as someone who's not someone who's like in the Snyderverse, I guess you could say, I didn't even know there was a Snyder Cut until all this stuff went down. And then as soon as it got released, I watched it pretty much immediately. I was excited to see kind of like what was what was going to happen with that. And so like I think that it introduced a whole new sort of fan base to, hey, why didn't we get this cut? Like what was the reason for the I mean, obviously it was 4 hours long, so some people didn't really like that, but it's like this was his version.
If you give Zack Snyder an ultimate cut, like the 3 Watchmen versions he did, he's gonna make it long. So that was it. That was obviously gonna happen, but it's just, oh God, why are they bringing this up on the day that it comes out? Because we were right. The fans were right. Gaius, as a movie critic and a writer, can you tell me which movie was better, Zack Snyder, Justice League, or Justice League?
The Snyder Cut's better, and I think this all comes down to them being butthurt that it's a better movie. And they received it as a better movie, but like I said, it's so weird within a company to like. I mean, of course, this investigation was done, like you said before, they were Warner Media, but you would think that like it's like, hey, if it's successful, it's successful, like whatever, and it's over and done with now. It has already been out on HBO Max. It wasn't like the biggest hit that HBO Max had ever seen, but it still did well. And who cares if it's
it was their movie to get people to sign up. Like, here's another quote, and I think this is from Zach. Snyder claims that if anyone, in quotations, was pulling the strings on social media fever, it was Warner Bros. Trying to leverage my fan base to bolster subscribers to their new streaming service. But one source maintains that Zach was like a Lex Luthor wreaking havoc. So I have to tend to agree with Zach too. It's like, yo, Warner Brothers, you see how passionate this fan base is. Keep drumming it up, drumming it up, drumming it
Yeah.
up, drumming it up until you get to HBO Max. The only reason I really got HBO Max was to see the Snyder Cut. Like at first, obviously, like they had everything else I watched from like any Batman stuff, but like I was only excited to see Snyder Cut. Like I fucking waited till 12:01 and we stayed up till 4 a.m. in the morning watching the movie. Like I would never have done that for Joss Whedon's movie. It was terrible.
Exactly.
And to think that in the theater when Zack showed his first cut, they Zack showed his first cut of the much anticipated Justice League, intended to be DC's answer to the Marvel's all-star superhero juggernaut, The Avengers, which earned $1.5 billion 5 years earlier. Was directed by Joss Whedon. Executives at the studio, headed up by the time former chief Kevin Tinsuhara, felt the film had major issues, including that it was convoluted and still too long at more than 2.5 hours. The movie was deemed a disaster and a full-on failure by those in the room. And as a result, the studio pivoted and enlisted Whedon to come on as a writer consultant, according to multiple sources with not multiple knowledgeable sources.
This is just like a mess. The whole thing's a mess.
These people are fucking idiots. And then like they just go into like start comparing like the other movies like Joker. Like they're like, oh well, Joker was only made for 70 million, but it made $1 billion. Look what we did there. It's like, yeah, you guys, you didn't fuck around with that. You guys didn't think it was gonna do anything. You see what happens when you don't interfere with the movies? They make money. They do well. The fans appreciate it. Like, you know, why does everyone love Disney? Why does everyone love Marvel? Because they service us. They put us on a platter. Yes, they make us cheap and mindless, but they give us what we want. What did like? If you think how big the John Krasinski like fandom of to have him as Reed Richards is. Like, it's a pretty like, you know about it, like, and they did it without like a whim. Like, okay, it didn't, you know, went for 5 minutes and Owen hated it. There he is.
It's true. It's true.
There he is. He absolutely hated it.
Oh gosh. That door's already been closed.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll crack it open at one time or another. But back to the point. They gave us what they wanted, and that was like a literally meager, like maybe a couple articles on Screen Rant, one on Joblo, maybe. The Snyder fucking release the Snyder Cut, hashtag release Snyder Cut, was 3 years long. These people bought billboards at Comic-Con, during Comic-Con in San Diego, and I actually worked in out-of-home advertising. It's a lot of money to do that shit. Also, they did a soccer stadium. They've had, you know, like they've done everything else too. They've had what the hell's it called? They've had an airplane fly around Warner Brothers lot with the
banner,
with release, with the banner. Like, the fact that they're only harping on these like obscure data mining web companies, like they're not using Nielsen or anything like that. They're literally, I've never fucking heard of any of these companies and have any reputable sense to it. So I just feel that like they based this article on the 13% of bots that apparently were like the ringleaders for funneling through everything.
And then they just tried to find a whole bunch of other things that were
it
just seemed like they were kind of rambling on.
No, great word, because I was just about to say, then they just go into start talking about like how Zach wanted Jason Kilar came in, the new CEO, and was like greenlit it after he saw Zach's like during it, talking about like Zach basically like had someone go a lot and steal the drive with his original cut on it, or little petty shit, or it's like Zach demanded $13 million to do post-production after he was already given $70 million. And it's like, it doesn't matter. They have unlimited money. Why are you like, just let him do his thing? Like, why?
They also accuse him of like not having control over the fan base either. Like,
it doesn't matter.
They like
by Joss Whedon. They can just give Zack Snyder and all of his fans all the praise in the world. Be like, okay, cool, here you go, thanks, man. Like, thank you for saving me from really having a really bad stint with. And then they did have a bad PR with it. Fucking Ray Fisher's like, fuck you, I'm not gonna be Cyborg anymore because you guys are just terrible.
I think they're just trying to go after like an easy group, because like Snyder fans are loud and they make a lot of noise on social media, and so it's very easy to kind of call out some of the ones who have said some inappropriate things. And excuse me, I think that they basically just kind of were dying to write something about like just an easy target. They basically took a group of fans that are very into a certain director, the certain style, and this guy's vision, and then they just kind of picked it apart for no reason, even though it was very successful and people wanted it. And so it just like really sucks to see that, like, I mean, it's going after Marvel fans, but there's Marvel fans out there. But like some of them are really annoying. So it's like it's basically just kind of shooting fish in a barrel for the sake of clickbait. And it's just kind of really frustrating to see that like they're just basically taking like all of these unimportant facts and trying to make them sound like a big deal. And that's why it's like it feels like faux journalism to me, where it's like, oh, this is something that you guys should think about, and like this is something that's real, and this is what's out there, and this is like social media is dangerous in this sense. It's like, no, these fans wanted a specific movie that should have come out, and it didn't, and then they had an outcry, and then it came out. And people liked it. So like, why are we shitting on it now? I really don't get that. That sucks.
It's funny too, because I actually just watched Batman vs Superman on the plane back from New York, the ultimate version on my computer, and I was like, wow, like this is really good. Like I'm really annoyed that like again Warner Brothers like did stuff to it in the beginning. So like it just the old like I really want to know if it was because there's two thoughts because to Owen, to your point of social media being dangerous. There's obviously the first one where, you know, like social media, like, you know, there's like they're describing like mean, terrifying, and, you know, like harassment essentially. And then the other one I'm thinking of is like movie studios don't have as much power as they thought they did. Like if the fans want something, this is like an amazing case study on to say, like, if you want something in a movie, like this is how you get it.
Sonic is the best example of that.
Oh yeah,
when they came out with everything, everyone was like, "That looks horrendous."
Great point.
They're like,
do it over. Yeah,
we got to do it over, or else no one's gonna come see.
Wait, hold on. Did Sony make Sonic?
No, Paramount did, but they were smart.
Okay,
They didn't like the way the character looked, and they listened, and they got 2 successful movies out of it. So like, it's
exactly.
And
I mean,
$1 billion.
Like, and I think it's important to like. Oh yeah,
I guarantee you the Snyder Cut bullshit was an immediate reason why they just said switch it, like don't fight it, switch it. Otherwise, we're gonna have a lot of Sonic fans up our ass for the next 8 months. You know, so just switch it. I guarantee you that Snyder Cut changed the paradigm of how fans can interact, and shockingly, Paramount made a very smart decision.
And you also have to know how to listen to them too, because everything that a fan says isn't gospel. So like everything everything that a fan complains about doesn't need to be changed. But there's certain things where it's common sense. Like if there's a longer, better cut of your movie out there, and the person's willing to make it or put it out there, what's the harm in like making a few extra dollars from it being released? It's like they just have this personal thing against him, and you can tell that they kind of do, and that they want to make him look even more bad, because they kind of reference to the whole like Godzilla versus Kong. They said that his fans were like giving that movie once. They said that his fans were giving that movie 1-star reviews. They were review bombing it on IMDb. They said that they asked Snyder to get his fans to stop, and that he refused. He says that he was never asked to get them to stop, but he says, furthermore, I do not control my fans. They have their own will and their own opinions. You really give me too much credit. So at this,
it's why, like, that's what, like, they're just straight up blaming him. Like, but for what? What are they blaming him for? Making them look stupid?
It's like that person at like in any sports team or at work or anything that just really just can't take feedback. We need more of Paramounts out there where they are willing to listen. It's like, hey, yeah, we actually messed this up, and we're gonna make it better because it looks like we made a mistake, and they're willing to admit that. Warner Brothers and even Sony are these companies that they're just like, no, we put out a perfect product, and if you don't like it, then you're stupid. And it's like, no, you have to be able to take feedback from, especially the people that are buying the tickets and you're basing your numbers off of. So it's like, you just have to be able to listen to people, and like you said, Gais, the right people, because not everyone is going to give a very educated and in-depth answer on what's wrong with a specific movie. But these studios are just trying to find someone to blame for some of these like failed movies and failed projects, rather than just admitting like, yeah, you know what, we actually got this one wrong. And if they did that, people would shut up about it, and then no one would talk about it anymore. Now instead, everyone's just bashing them for continuing to be idiots.
Yeah, I agree. And like my thing is too, like maybe I'm reaching or this might be over dramatic, but I feel like you put a piece out there like this because you want to make him look bad to like other studios. Like you almost want to like ruin him with like getting work with other people because he's not really. I mean, I doubt he'll. I mean, maybe he might work with Warner Media and it's like current like the way it is now, but he certainly wasn't going to work with them if they had remained Warner Brothers the way they were. So it's like it's almost like they really just want to make him. It's like one final blow. Like you're not going to win, and it's just it seems really childish and petty at this point. Like the movie came out like a year ago, and it had its run. It's over. Like it should have been that should have been the end of it then. And I think they were probably more upset that after the movie came out, that people were then like, okay, I wish we could have seen more of what he was going to do with like all of those ideas, and that pissed them off.
And now I love myself. I know when I love when I'm right, baby. You know how I said in a previous episode that speaking on your point too, how they don't want other studios to work with him. He's currently in a 2-deal movie with Netflix for Rebel Moon, his sci-fi movie. There has been a few articles out there with the headline Netflix wants its own Star Wars and Harry Potter type franchises. 2 days ago, not the best, or it's like Reuters did it a couple times, but not like the top ones. But the point still remains. I'm putting on my tinfoil hat for this one. Zack Snyder has like a lot of his like go-to guys, and in this Rebel Moon, and Ray Fisher's in it too, and it's gonna be good. And it's gonna fucking it definitely, it was something that Zach definitely brought to Warner Brothers at one time or another, and they were just like, not at this time. Like you're not big enough or whatever, or because of the Batman versus Superman stuff and everything. I really think that. So I really think that this article, like who commissioned this article, or like who is the source that gave them all this bullshit? Like anyone who's ever actually worked with Zack Snyder, says they love him. Like, I mean, you could probably. I was
gonna say that. Yeah, I was gonna say that everyone that has worked with him says that he's great. I've never heard any bad things about him. I've gotten to talk to him once. He was a good guy. He seemed really nice. No one has said any negative things about him except for these random like unnamed sources at Warner Brothers.
and backhandedly the old Warner Brothers studios. But just to get back to the way this article is written, it's just really a tragedy that like they completely gloss over all of the donations to suicide prevention, and they also just really fail to mention really the crux of the straw that broke the camel's back with Justice League was that Zach's daughter passed away due to suicide, and that made him step away from it. And really, he tried. It's documented that he tried pushing on for like a month or two more, and he really is just like, I couldn't do it. And if you can imagine your wife, the producer on it, and you're the director on it, and you're trying to deal with this, it's a really sad display of journalism, in my opinion.
That's important. Paint the whole story. That's very important to mention that too, because like that gets lost in translation. That is why he stepped away. They try to blame it on other stuff, but like he stepped away because of a very serious like family personal issue, and that gets lost in a lot of this stuff where it's almost like that didn't happen. They try to like kind of push that aside, and like that's the worst part about I think a lot of this.
So terrible. It just sucks. It just really sucks. Yeah.
And I will say I think he has more goodwill than bad in this industry. So like I'm not worried too much about it, but I did think like when I read it that it was just such an obvious like, all right, like an unwarranted like attack on his character, and it just felt unnecessary. And then just the timing of it, of course, you time it with like the release of like the digital release of his movie, like it makes it seem like it is personal. It's very personal. and it's unnecessary for like a big studio like that, and then like a publication that's huge to dump on someone. Like I get it, Rolling Stone, like it's a big story, and like you had to run with it, like I guess, but there were ways to like do it where it was like fair journalism. And Ray Fisher on his Twitter page, if you want to go look at it, he has pointed out he has pointed out many flaws in that article and stuff that they left out, emails that he has shared with like the author of that article, that like their exchanges that they didn't include. So like this is not really great journalism if you're actually looking at it from the people that were involved in this. They left a lot of things out.
Say that it's not personal at this point.
It's wild. If I was an internet detective, I would really try and find these authors and see if they really kind of trashed other Zack Snyder movies in the past or said some like, you know, bullshit like that. 2 points. I think I forgot to mention it because we've just been talking so fast about anything. But back to like the Snyder and the Kong, the fans with Kong. Dude, fucking Marvel fans do this shit all the time. Fuck out of here. Like, fandoms are toxic. You know, they fucking Star Wars. Jesus Christ. You know what?
They're the worst.
We want to talk about toxic fans. Like, get out of here. Like, talk about that's just, again, it's just another bad journalism. But I'm just annoyed at that. Like, there's because anyone in, and I'm actually going to say this, anyone in our industry, because damn right we are in the industry, would recognize that. Like, yeah, dude, like Marvel fans are fucking nuts, dude. Star Wars fans are nuts. This is nothing new. But we can easily say now, it's like I don't think I've ever really seen a ground movement to like donations of like over $300,000 to charity in tandem with this, like them getting their movie. So like I feel like there was a lot of positivity just left out of it. And then to Ray Fisher's point, like, yeah, go to his Twitter, check it out. He literally like screenshots the read receipts or whatever. Because he first like tweets out something like this needs he doesn't tweet out any pictures. He just says this needs to be changed, you know, accountability over, you know, whatever, stuff like that. And then she replies back with the screenshot of her email. Yeah, that is like, please, you want to hear your comment. The deadline is past 5 p.m. We're going to print or whatever, yada yada. Ray Fisher is just like, yo, fuck out of here. Check your shit. He screenshots his, and it says they have a 6 p.m. deadline of which to answer before going to print. Drama. And that he never declined to comment on said story. Like neither him nor his team never declined not to. Like, if anyone's gonna comment on this story, it is Ray Fisher.
It would have been him, yeah.
He literally almost tanked his career because of it. Like, if like I like Ray Fisher, and I think what he did was absolutely commendable. So I will not say that he was an idiot in doing this. He should have really just shut up. But he stood up for what was right for the greater good of the industry, and to point out a toxic person who has yet to get another directing job since this has gone out. Neither.
That's a good point.
So yeah, that has not come out yet. 20th anniversary of Buffy, I didn't really hear much about from Joss Whedon at all.
No. Yeah, exactly. I will say they iced him out. I mean, like, and that's the good thing. Like, I think the good thing that kind of came out of that stuff with Joss Whedon is that people that are fans of Buffy or fans of like any of his stuff are like, at this point, his creations are bigger than him. And like, in a positive way, those fans have taken ownership of those things. And it's like, he doesn't even need to be involved in it anymore because he is like a pretty toxic influence on a lot of that stuff. So like, Ray Fisher, you're right. He could have ended his career completely, but like he stood his ground, got a lot of people behind him, and it worked out, I think, in the end. Like he really took down a director and producer and writer that was pretty huge in this industry, and who currently is not going to get any work anytime soon. So no. He did a really good thing, and I think that in the end, like the Zack Snyders of the world have so much positive energy behind them that this won't really be an issue. But it is a really shitty way to do journalism, and that's the point we're driving home.
Just so angry at that, and I will definitely declare this podcast a Ray Fisher podcast. Like the guys are straight. He does not. He's not gonna like bullshit, dude. He literally could have just tanked his career. Been I don't know what his other talents were in his life, but he could have just been nothing after being in this movie, and he took it on and he did what was right, and he did it because he loved Zack Snyder and he loved how he gave him a chance. So like that's another thing too. It's like they kind of and in this article they point out how Zack Snyder cast Ben Affleck, Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, and obviously we know what the story is of Ezra Miller. So like, yeah, definitely not good, but like they're like trying to point out all that, but they're not pointing out the fact that he gave basically Gal Gadot like her starring role, like the role that really kind of like put her in the sense of like, okay, she can star in her own movie,
she's a star, yeah.
Star. Yeah. Jason Momoa was not a star until like he got his $1 billion movie. Now everyone knows Jason Momoa. I mean, he was in Game of Thrones, but like he wasn't the star he is today. Ben Affleck's, speaking for, speaks for himself. Henry Cavill. I mean, you could say so. Like everyone knew him because of those. He gives actors chances to do.
I agree.
Like it's really we keep going back to it. It's just fucking sad that this type of journalism came out today, and it's just it's a shit article. Absolute shit article.
Well, we covered that really well. I'm glad we handled that really well because there was a lot to unpack in there, and I think you hit all the points that you needed to hit, and in a very positive way too. Because it wasn't just going to be like, oh, we're fans and we're upset about what they wrote. It was like on a personal level, it's really shitty thing.
Because like, I've said it on this podcast before. Like, I bring up Zack Snyder all the time. Like, I'll always revert back to like Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel as like literally like some of the movies that are like the most important in my life. Like, just personally, I could fight with you to the cows come home about why Man of Steel is actually a very good movie and a fantastic interpretation of Superman. Like, I can do that, but I can also just say like I really love that movie because my brother passed away like 4 months before that movie came out, and I needed like something to look up to, and that was that, and like it was a perfect thing. So that movie will always like stay with me, and I thank Zack Snyder for making that movie. That's just the fan, but I can definitely say like that's just a shit article that they wrote, and to subjectively call that something good to happen, God, terrible. And again, like Warner Media says nothing in this article. This is all Warner Bros.
All Warner Brothers,
it's all David Zaslav and all those guys like from Discovery. Like they're not fucking with this shit. Like this isn't what they wanted. Like
this is behind them at this point.
Yeah, this is completely behind them. I mean, if they were smart, they would at least entertain like to at least mend fences with Zach, like come out and like at least talk to him like on a personal level and be like, listen, Zach, like we did. I would hope that one of them did that and been like, yo, like we said no. We understand why you had to say to defend yourself or like whatever, but like we were like, this isn't what we want to do. We want to start fresh with you because like if they want to like bring back Henry Cavill, it's like you're gonna have Zack Snyder probably produce it or Deborah Snyder produce it or something along that line. So the proof is in the pudding. Like Zack Snyder knows how to make these movies good. If he's like, okay, good in the sense that I like them. Commercially, not so much. Owen, I know, slow motion, calm down. Calm down.
Slow motion fights.
Slow motion fights are sweet. But yeah, no, like
time and a place.
Exactly. All right. We're going to end this episode with because we haven't done box office predictions in the big because we haven't had we had a big movie open 2 weeks ago, but this is going to be quick.
So good after that, I feel
good.
I just needed.
I'm glad.
I needed a good rant. So thank you.
It was good. It was good. So we have Jordan Peele's Nope coming out on Friday. This is it. Yeah, me too. This is his third theatrical release. The early reactions are very positive, saying that it's his most ambitious movie to date. There's a lot of comparisons to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, like old school Steven Spielberg, Jaws. One guy said M. Night Shyamalan when he was good. That was a backhanded. So he's only had 3 movies, of course, but he hasn't had a failure yet. Get Out opened February 24th, 2017 to $33.3 million on a $4.5 million budget. Of course, it had great word of mouth and ended up grossing $176 million by the end of its run. He released Us in March of 2019, and that opened to $71.1 million and grossed 175 million by the end of its run. The word of mouth not as positive on that one, but people either really love it or they're mixed on it. Um, where do you guys think this one's gonna open? Because like a lot of the reactions are, it's really really good, but it might be like divisive to people who think it's gonna be like a sci-fi like horror movie because they said it's more than that basically.
Oh, you can go first since you have not spoken that much.
I think that this one is going to be kind of right in between of both of them because I think Get Out like was obviously his directorial debut, and he surprised all of us with how like just his imagery and everything that he's able to do with his with the camera. But I was also part of the opinion that Us wasn't as good as Get Out. It wasn't really my favorite. I didn't really like the ending. I thought it was a little bit too much for me, kind of cerebrally. Just like the way that it kind of tied together, I was like, that doesn't really make sense.
Right.
But this one, just from like, I mean, he does a great job of like not really giving us anything, which I think is super smart because too many trailers nowadays, as we say, just show us the whole movie in 2 minutes. And then again, 3 minutes a month later. So it's like I think that,
so true. It's so true.
I think this one's gonna have a good opening. I'm gonna go for 58 in the first weekend.
All right. What about you, Jack?
To be honest, I personally I'm not a big fan of these movies entirely. I like, as Owen said, they're very cerebral. And as I've stated too, like I like cerebral, like, you know, like interesting movies. I just think that his style makes me think too much while trying to pay attention to like the cool stuff that's going on screen, or like the mysterious stuff. Like I just don't get the ulterior motives behind it, and I feel that like all people talk about is not essentially the movie, but what the movie's meaning is. And like all like the you know, the metaphors and whatnot, I think are just a little too much for me. Hopefully I think that I think it's just gonna be hopefully I think it's more sci-fi than like metaphorically like aliens. Like if I see an article where it's like the aliens represent white people coming and, you know, taking over, oh gosh, yeah. I'm gonna be like, yo, like fuck off. Like I just like I'm not why do you have to make like, unless he specifically stated it, like or if he's specifically stating it and it's like, dude, stop saying that. Just give me a fucking movie and let us like just talk about aliens and shit. Like,
I mean, the first one was literally a direct depiction of slavery, so it's like that makes sense. But like this one, if they start to try,
what was Us? I don't even know what Us was about. So like, tell me what was Us? What was
it's a lot to unpack.
Oh gosh, well, it's basically like kind of. I mean, I'd hate to say it's kind of Stranger Things-esque, but it's like there's like this world underneath that there's like a second copy of you that's kind of, and then the little girl gets switched with sorry, spoiler alert, but
whatever.
Basically the girl from like the other place is like they all want to get out of there and go into the real world, and so like they break out and like start killing people, and then there's like this weird hand holding at the end, which I didn't really understand, but yeah.
You know,
was there like a metaphor to that, like our interior
there was definitely something about it, but I missed it.
I will say this about Get Out though. What I've always loved about it is there's that underlying like the tension in Get Out is like, okay, he's a black guy beating his like white girlfriend's parents. So is he paranoid because he's nervous about that, or is he paranoid because there's a legitimate like threat? And they kind of play both sides of that for like a lot of the movie, which I think is really smart. I mean, I don't think every movie needs to kind of like touch on social commentary, and that is what he's choosing to do. I'm not sure if he's going to do that with Nope. I heard that he does a little bit, but like, yeah, I mean, but they're at the end of the day, he's making really smart movies. Even though Us is divisive, like I still think that as like a newcomer to like directing horror movies and stuff like this, he's one of the best voices we have right now as far as that genre is concerned. And now he's
I get convoluted like horror,
Right.
Scary, horror, psychological thriller.
Yeah.
I would say he's more thriller than horror, but like people like if the horror fans want him, take him. Like
I think it's
You know?
thriller horror kind of a mix.
yeah, and then
Well-
you have to add the psychological part. But with that all like, I like he's a good director. Like I just would love if he made a funny movie, like actually like funny. Like dude, like
Watch Keanu.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll watch Keanu. But like no, like him get like. Is it Keanu with like a fucking rat or a dog or something?
No, it's a cat that
It's a
this
cat.
owner and his friend have to go find, and they pretend to be gangsters. It's actually kind of funny.
All right.
It's just basically the Key and Peele movie, but
Awesome. But oh, that's amazing. Perfect. Yeah, but like give me make just do a funny movie next time. Just like straight up funny, like this is the end type shit movie. Because like you can make that type of movie too. You can make that type of funny movie too. And I would like to see that. I do appreciate him branching out. So and doing what he's doing, and Gaius, even the horror fans love him. So
Yeah, we do.
exactly.
All right. So Owen gave us 58 million. Where are you going to give us? What if you're thinking like dollars and cents?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Sorry. I'm gonna go 50. Just give it a go 50.
All right, I'm gonna be the high guy here and say 65. I'm gonna say lower than Us because Us is 71, and I really think the whole like sci-fi thing might not be appealing to like his.
Actually, yeah, I changed mine to 60.
Now you want to go 60? Okay, so
mine to 60.
all right, so Jack 60, Owen 58, me 65. Honestly, if it goes higher than that, I'll be happy.
feel it's always weird being the low end. Like whenever you're the lowest one, you're like, oh.
Well, once you said this, I completely forgot about the sci-fi and the flying saucer. So like, I mean, just like we say, dinosaurs are dope, aliens are dope too. So
yeah, and you know what? And also it'll all come down to like once the reviews hit Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, early reactions on social media are strong, but that'll play a big part in it too. But I think 65, and like this is his first movie to open during the summer, so like that could. He might get a little inflation from that as well, but yeah, I'm going 65. Jack, you're 60. Owen, you're still cool with 58?
I'll take it.
All right. So when the next time we are on, we will talk about how much this movie actually made, and I plan on seeing it on Thursday, I think, with my brother. So yeah, that'll be what we talk about.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
Are you going to Comic-Con?
I was gonna wait to the end. So what happened?
Your boss. Did you ask your boss?
So let me break it down real quick. There are 2 4-day passes, and they are for Chris, editor-in-chief, and Lance, who have never gone. The rest of the passes are divvied up in individual days. For now, I only have a Friday pass. I'm working on a Saturday pass. But even if I only get the Friday, I'm still going because it won't be hard to obtain the Saturday.
Yeah, and you'll be in San Diego for.
And I'll be in San Diego. So like I'm not. So I won't be there for the preview night tomorrow and then Thursday. But all the good stuff's on Friday and Saturday. Sunday's not that great because everyone's just trying to get out of there. But yeah, I am going. So like our next episode, we'll talk about some of the things we saw. I mean, you'll be able to hear a lot of it too. It's going to hit social media. So as soon as shit happens,
it's gonna be a good weekend.
So yeah, I will be there, and I will try to focus on the work and not having too much fun in San Diego.
Yeah, don't drink too much.
Yeah.
don't do it. Don't do it. Yep.
But yeah, that's it. Oh, and you're back. You get to sign us off.
Let's go. Guys, thank you for tuning in again to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster. We are super psyched about what we have coming up. We have a lot of great anniversaries and just a lot of great content coming your way. Please keep listening to us and rating us on Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It's how I like to listen. Yeah, just keep listening. We're just basically hitting our stride right now. It's just been the summer is kind of when a lot of these awesome movies are coming out, and when all these big releases are going to be hitting. So it's just going to be a really exciting time. So just keep tuning in. We love your guys' feedback. Jack's going to hit you with that homework deal. Just really excited for what you guys have to come, for what we have to come for you guys. And we'll see you guys all next week.
Yeah, before you jump into that, I want to say that we had 27 ratings on Apple, our podcast, and we got 3 extra 5-star ratings. So we're up to 30 ratings total, but there were 3 5-star ratings in the last week. And 1 review, I think. I can't really pull it up now, but so some people are doing the homework. So good.
Hey, just to follow up, I know Owen's been off the air for a bit, but shout out to Playlist Studios. You guys are awesome. Thank you for all you do. With that being said, Professor Jack is extremely happy to hear that our students are doing the homework assignment. If I need to remind you again, I will do so. I have one assignment for you today, and that is to like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't. Give us a topic to talk about. We want that algorithm on our side. If you don't do it, come on, do it one time for us. It doesn't take that much. Tell a friend, tell your mother, tell your father, tell your sister. Have a good night. We love you guys.
Peace.
We love you guys.
Later.